Maybe you can run away from your problems. Maybe you can run away from your problems. Maybe you can run away from your problems. At least that's what I tell myself to get out of bed in the morning. Whenever I'm in southern Italy, it's the only place in the world where I feel like home. And I have this constant daydream that I would be the best version of myself if I was living there. I have this maybe irrational hope that all of my problems of insecurity, all of my problems of procrastination, of selling out my fulfillments to money and women, are just a product of my environment. But as you can tell, I'm not in southern Italy at the moment. I'm in Toronto, Canada. It's so hard to be hungry for life when life tastes like shit. When you live in a country like Canada where the people here are so devoid of fulfillment and they cover up their insecurities with their C-Class Mercedes that they bought with a 40% APR loan
and their orange iPhone 17 Pro Max that they got to match their fucking Arc'teryx beanie that they brag about it with their fucking Instagram story that they lowered the exposure on and their fucking matcha latte.
It all feels so fake and shallow because there's no culture here. The Canadian culture has always been the Canadian dream, and this dream is long, long dead. And when you take that dream from here, all you're left with is this bloated carcass of a country with its overpriced real estate to bail out boomers and 20-lane roads that take you from one shopping mall to another. And maybe I sound like a negative Nancy, but I'm just trying to figure out the answer to the question, are we just products of our environment?
I can't cry on the memory that you sent through me.
The modern world tells young men that to be a man, they need to be as stoic as possible. That every single aspect of their life that they can control, they need to put the responsibility of it on themselves. And I think that for 90% of life, that should apply. But there's also so much of your life that is affected by things you really don't have control over. If I wake up every day at 8 a.m., I go for walks outside without my phone, I work out, I read, and I eat healthy, how bad would I really feel about my life? How sad would I really be? How depressed could I possibly be if I did all of those things right? But when I get up in the morning to go to my class that I pay $6,000 a semester for, and I'm late to class because the TTC was delayed, and I walk out of my subway station to find 3 different people doing the fent fold, that makes it so hard for me to not hate this place. And in Italy, when I go for a 5-minute walk and I can find a restaurant with the best pizza in the world for €8, and it's beside some 1500-year-old church with the paintings of Michelangelo inside of it, I feel like I'm able to stomach the sufferings of the world. And I have to at least partially believe this fairy tale that I won't be miserable in an apartment in Rome with no air conditioning. Otherwise, the despair that I feel in my life would be completely unbeatable. I don't want to feel miserable anymore. I don't want to live in agony. I don't want to do the immigrant song and dance of complaining how much better my country is while I'm living across the world. This constant anxiety that I have living here, of needing to do more, of needing to see more of the earth, of needing to take a bigger bite out of life, feels insatiable. And this city just cannot tame it for me, and it's starting to affect my everyday abilities. My ability to focus, the ability for me to push myself to do hard things. My appetite for life itself is being dragged down by the brown puddles and fucking 6 feet of snow I have to shovel every morning. And so what's next? What's the next step that I can take from my everyday life to not be so fucking sad? A while ago, this guy was trying to rope me into a church group that's just a few notches away from a cult. But while he was doing so, he gave me some really, really deep insight. You can't be anxious and grateful at the same time. I think there's a lot of truth to that. Italy has many, many problems, and you'll be hard-pressed to find someone my age that doesn't want to move out of Italy. And on my YouTube, you'll find all of these deep philosophical rantings of mine that I've only got because of traveling and the different opportunities that I had from running a business that Canada offered to me. So how can I sit here complaining about this country that I live in when it's afforded me so many opportunities that my dream country could never? I do think you can run away from some of your problems. That at least a small part of you is the product of your environment. But there is no such thing as a life without problems. Life is suffering. Life is problems. Even Jeff Bezos has problems. He has to figure out which watch he's gonna wear today, how much Botox he's gonna give his wife, which child he's gonna sacrifice to Moloch. You can't seek a life without problems because it doesn't exist. All life is having problems, and all the fulfillment you get out of life is figuring out a way to solve those problems enjoyably. And the only thing you can really prioritize in life is which problems to fix first. The problem of validation, the problem of not having enough money in your bank account, the problem of not having enough Instagram followers, of not fucking enough girls? Or is it the problem of enjoying where you live? The problem of trying not to find misery and agony in every small detail of your daily life? I don't think this place is that bad. I think I'm just scared to admit that all the problems I have are my own fault. As much as I want to blame this country and its land and its people and its environment and its culture and its politics, the reality is the big problem here, the big issue in this whole equation is me. I think if I dig deep enough in my soul, I'll come to the realization that all this complaining and moping about where I live is just cope for my feeling of not doing enough in my life. Because maybe the truth is I'm not doing enough in my life. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not making enough YouTube videos. I'm not grinding away as hard as I should be. And it's easier to bitch and moan about how much better it would be if I was back home in Italy than it is to fix my life. I'll wrap up this video with a personal story. For the last 8 years, I've been waiting for the Eglinton subway line to open. And every minute I spent waiting in the rain for a delayed bus, every second I spent in traffic, I was bitching and moaning in my head about how much better it would be if I was in a country that was somewhat competent enough to build a metro line at a normal fucking speed. But now, it's finally open and I'm saving about an hour a day in commute time. And what am I gonna do with that extra hour a day? Find something else to complain about? I'll never be able to compare Toronto to the rest of the world. I'll never eat a steak here that's as good as the ones in Buenos Aires. I'll never have as much fun drunk as I did in Shibuya. I'll never look out my window and see a view that's as pretty as the mountains of Seoul. And every shitty $7 coffee where the barista turns their fucking iPad around and asks me for a 30% tip will never taste as good as a €2 cappuccino in Rome. But so what? Is that a good excuse for me to complain and be a sad, pathetic fuck? To mope and cry because I get to live in a first world country it's kind of cold sometimes and some people are a little self-centered here. The truth is, I'm terrified of being rich and successful because what if I get to Rome and I'm driving my Alfa Romeo Spider and I have my nice black Italian-made loafers on and I'm smoking a cigar and eating arancini and listening to Gianni Nannini? What if I get there and I still don't feel like I'm enough? I still don't feel like I'm in a place that I belong in. I still don't feel like I'm fulfilling my life goal. And after the 100th carbonara, after the 1000th macchiato, maybe I'd start thinking that I'd be happier looking at the CN Tower. One way or another, we're all living in the gutter. But some of us are looking up at the stars. It doesn't matter how deep in shit you live. Don't let it get to your head. Don't let it get to your head. Because maybe, just maybe, if you look around enough, you can find a piece of corn.